Let's stay in the common market.
40 years ago, the choice was whether we should stay in or get out of what was called the common market. The referendum campaign was a tragi-comic tale that yoked together the strangest of bedfellows. The Labour Prime Minister, Oxford-educated Harold Wilson, faced with an increasingly Eurosceptic party, had come up with the idea of renegotiations followed by an in-out referendum as a device for holding his party together. The cabinet was deeply divided. The campaign to get Britain out of the common market was led by the Industry Secretary Tony Benn, the public school educated man of the people who'd first come up with the idea of the referendum.
I cannot believe that we shall not win on Independence Day.
Other leading anti-marketeers included Enoch Powell, whom Tony Benn had called a racist, and Dr. Ian Paisley. This mixed bag played into the hands of the pro-European strategy.
I'm afraid I find it increasingly difficult to take Mr. Benn seriously as an economic minister, in which this technique in which you just think of a number and double it, and if challenged, you pretend you haven't been challenged and you just react by thinking up some new claim.
I think it's absolutely vital that everyone should turn out in this referendum and vote yes, so that the question is over once and for all. We are really in Europe and ready to go ahead.
Passionately opposed to Margaret Thatcher over Europe was the Labour firebrand Barbara Castle, who'd long been tipped to become Britain's first woman Prime Minister. As the campaign neared its climax with a debate at the Oxford Union, Mrs. Castle was up against two of the most senior Europhiles, Ted Heath and the Liberal leader, Jeremy Thorpe.
They lured us into the market with the mirage of the market miracle.
Holding these views as passionately and sincerely as she does, may we assume that if the vote is yes, she would not stay on to administer those policies as a minister?
If the vote goes yes, my country will need me to save it.
Come on, we want a jump operator.
On the eve of the referendum, Mrs. T's jumper featured the flags of the 9 common market countries.
They're tall, the girls. They're all taller than I. I'm not too worried. I like this torch.
She was lighting a torch for peace in Europe, with the Yes campaign claiming that after 2 world wars, only a unified Europe with Britain a member could prevent further wars.
One of our posters was precisely this. It's better to lose a little sovereignty than to lose a son and a daughter. This was hard-hitting argument based, looking backwards, and on all the casualties.
On Thursday, reassert the right to rule ourselves.
Vote no.
The votes were counted in vast arenas in 67 regions of the UK.
And it's beginning to look as if we may not have a single no counting area in Britain itself.
On a high turnout, the people voted by 2 to 1 for Britain to stay in the common market.
Area so far has come really very near.
Triumphant Roy Jenkins was later to say that he'd so enjoyed working with like-minded Conservatives and Liberals in the referendum campaign that he decided to form a new breakaway Social Democratic Party, the SDP. It split the Labour Party and helped keep the Tories in power for nearly 2 decades.